Hello, friends, and welcome back. Today I'm going to play round 5 of a competitive Modern League with the list you see before me. A deck that I like to fondly call Jeskai Geist. It also goes by Jeskai Midrange, Jeskai Flash, all that stuff. If you saw round 4, then you will expect me to be a little bit rough around the edges today. Do I look as bad as I feel? I am a tiny little hangover. Might have been out a little late, really late. Might have had too many drinks, but what are you going to do? Okay, without further ado, let's get into some magical games. Oh, look, it's our old mate. Okay, we're going to keep this hand. It is a little short of interaction, and for that reason I am tempted to mulligan, but we do have a draw, and we do have proactivity. So if we are playing against something like Valakut again, then we have half of what we need. We just need to draw a interactive spell. Okay, so this is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but we need to draw counter. Well, we do have this cryptic, so we need to draw lands. We have the pressure. We're gonna Snapcaster Mage on 2. Hopefully we'll Geist on 3. If our friend over there just has, oh no, it's the Grove of the Burnwillows version. I haven't seen this in a while, but our deck they have Pyroclasm, which is super annoying for Geist. I don't think we can play around it. We're just gonna snap on 2 and Geist on 3. We do need to hit that land though, or this is gonna go poorly. Alright, our pal over there has Tron online. Well, not online, but he has Tron. We are going to flash a Snapcaster in. And just be so sad. Alright, well, should I just concede? It's a bit unfortunate. I guess he could just have nothing and we'll Snapcaster Mage. Looks bad. Looks bad. Feels bad. Alright, this game. You know, I was talking to my one of my friends who likes to play Tron, mildly griping about the deck, more in like a comical fashion, but I was just saying that nobody loses to Tron. Nobody actually dies to Tron. Tron just basically builds the Death Star and then people concede. It's like you have your little magic deck, and they're like, I've got the Death Star. It's right here. Would you like keep playing Magic? It's like, no, I'll quit. Actually, like in the face of such power, you can rule the universe. That's fine, because that's what we just did. It was like, oh, you've got that guy now. All right, we're done here. That's fine. We can quit Magic. Okay, so negate, disdainful stroke, counterflux, molten rains. We need our path to exiles. I'm gonna cut the helixes. This is sort of similar to what I was talking about before. Like you need burn in the matchup, but if you just have all burn in the matchup, you're going to just like end up with too much of it when you don't want it and not enough interactivity. So let's see how this works out. Hopefully our opponent has slow Tron start. And again, if you didn't remember, my argument for keeping in Electrolyze over the helixes, yes, I know they're slower and less mana efficient, but you can get to a state where basically you're more or less answering all of their threats, and so you're either gonna like play a Geist early and counter a few spells and win, or if you don't have the pressure but you have the counter spells, the game's gonna go a bit longer. And so when that happens, it's nice to be able to, this is basically like a burn spell that can become something else, whereas Helix always is only ever going to be a burn spell. And since we would like to have as many counters as possible in the deck, you can just cycle the Electrolyze away. All right, well, our opponent's taking a bit of time to sideboard, so you know what? I should probably consider bringing in a Wear Tear. I don't know if it's better than any of these things. I don't know that it's better than the Electrolyze. I don't hate bringing in a Wear Tear, primarily because sometimes you can kill an Oblivion Stone to get it off the tables before they can crack it. We'll play first. Jeez. All right, I'm going to keep this hand. We have time to make use of these Serum Visions. I'm going to go ahead and just go straight into Steam Vents here. Our life total is probably not going to be very relevant. Opponent is mulliganing to 5. Now to 4. They kept a 4-card hand. Okay. Not that I want to just win because my opponent mulligans, but that's good for us. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the party off with the man. All right, so I'm going to bottom this. I'm going to top that. And I'm bottoming that land because we're about to cantrip twice again, and I feel that we will probably find what we need. Okay. Let's just shock here. Another Serum Visions. We don't really need this Sulfur Falls anymore. I really want to start applying pressure next turn. I guess we have this Snapcaster Mage. I'm almost tempted to just bottom the Serum Visions, and I think I'm going to. The reason being, like, Serum Visions is cool, but I'm looking for, like, I want to find a Geist that I can play next turn. Okay, so bottom the mountain, keep the counterflux, and we're actually basically drawing the exactly as I said why I was going to keep in the Electrolyze. We don't have a really good threat, but we have a lot of interaction. Probably digging for a land on his end, something like that. I'm going to just play a... I'm going to actually guess I'll do another draw. What did I do with my scry? I suddenly just forgot. I drew a card. So I guess I put the card on bottom and I kept the counterflux on top. Yeah, so since I put some cards on the bottom I don't want, I think just not playing the fetch is probably fine. It's kind of sad to just play this naked Snapcaster Mage, but we need to, like I said, apply pressure. Colonnade, that's fine. Just play that attack. Pass the turn back. We have counterflux up. Then we're going to obviously start having Crypt Command up. Fortunately, this Colonnade's probably not going to get past this Ghost Quarter. We are giving our opponent ample time to get out of this, though, unfortunately, with our lack of real pressure. I mean, Snap is pressure, just not very much of it. Let's attack with Snap. Play a land. And now I'm not so much worried about the cards I put on the bottom. Although I guess I don't need to crack it. And I know there's some cards on the bottom that I don't want to draw, so that being the case, we'll just... Oh, baby. The game just got a whole lot better. We'll attack here. I think I can get these basics. I mean, I don't. We might get Ghost Quartered once or twice. This allows us to have Counterflux mana. Now, if he Ghost Quarters himself, gets the red source, untaps, and Pyroclasms, I will counter the Pyroclasm because we can back it up with these Cryptic Commands. And now we're going to put our opponent on a clock of 8 a turn. So if we... Well, no, we're not going to do that. I was going to say if we ramp up the Colonnade, but he's got that Ghost Quarter. Alright. So this will be game, almost assuredly. Opponent is going to be able to make Tron. It's going to be too late. Cannot exile Snapcaster Mage with Ulamog. I mean, Geist of St. Traft, he can only exile Snapcaster Mage. Alright, float a white. Let this happen. Path the Ulamog. Alright, let's try for game 3 here. That was an odd match against Tron. So let me think for a moment on this Weird Tear. And if you didn't already realize, I'm not keeping in the spell snares like I do against Valakut because they just have so few. Sylvan Scrying, I think, is the only card. Wait. Is Sylvan Scrying the Legacy enchantment? That's Sylvan Library. Sylvan Scrying is the only card that it hits. Okay, so this Wear Tear... It might be better than a random bolt. It's also kind of it's situational as well, though. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to. I do want to keep the 4 bolts because I like, Bolt Snap Bolt can really shorten the clock. I don't know that the random Wear Tear is better than anything else. It could be better than the Electrolyze. That would be the only one. Alright, submit this. Okay, this is not an awful hand. We have an interactive element. We have 2 interactive elements. Unfortunately, if our opponent has Slowtron, we might even be able to Spell Queller one of his... Probably not, but we could Queller something. So we have Ramp, we have interaction for his creatures, and interaction for the non-creatures, so... Opponent is mulliganing again to 5. And then again to 4. Okay, well. That's unfortunate for our opponents. Doesn't mean that it's a guaranteed win. I mean, our last hand was arguably a little better. Okay, second path's fine. I'm going to go ahead and get a Steam Vents. That way I can have double red for Bolt Snap Bolt later. I am 90% positive, 99% positive I don't have anything double white that I brought in. I think the only double white card I have in this 75 is Settle the Wreckage. If our opponent... Just double checking. Yeah, if our opponent took out... Okay, now we're getting a little path-loaded here. Let me just play Sulphur Falls. We actually could have... Technically probably just could have played Hollow Fountain tapped, but... Ooh, Click makes an appearance. That's great. We're gonna shock. If our opponent plays something, next turn, if he taps Grove and a tower and plays Sylvan Scrying or something, we will Spellqueller it. If he doesn't play either of those, we will click our opponent at the end of his turn. Let's take a look. Ah, that's unfortunate. Better on the click than a Geist. So he's going to have Tron online. I'm almost wondering, do I take the Sylvan Scrying or do I take these things? I almost just want to take the Ulamog. And the reason is he's going to make Tron. We'll path the Wormcoil Engine, but then we don't lose a bunch of our lands. In fact, we can just this is curious because so I can just leave his hand the way that it is, and when he Sylvan Scryings next turn, I can just Spellqueller it. The thing though is, with only dealing 2 damage a turn, I don't know that I can. I don't think we're gonna be faster. I don't think we're gonna kill him quick enough that he doesn't get to cast that Ulamog. And I feel like that is the scariest thing in his hand. If we cantrip him to a Planeswalker, and then we're fine. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Ulamog. I think it could just present the biggest long-term issue for us. Give him a draw and then give him another draw, which isn't great, but he's probably going to go ahead and Scrying here, and we're going to Spellqueller. If he just drew the missing Tron piece and cast Wormcoil Engine, let's go and Queller that. What I was going to say is we'll probably let the Wormcoil resolve. We'll just play Queller, and then on his turn we'll end up pathing it. Cryptic Command is great. I don't know if we have enough pressure to justify it, but at this point we could even consider bouncing a land with Cryptic Command just to put him even further behind. But I think over anything else, we probably just want to play Spellqueller and up the clock to 4, which is now, at least by my feeling, a reasonable clock. Happy to Spellqueller another Sylvan Scrying and keep him off of Tron. So we still need to have an additional 4 turns of attacking. We're going to let the map resolve. We know he has a Wormcoil and something else, and I feel like whatever he plays, we can beat. And I think we have enough interaction to just keep riding this Spellqueller train. He has Wormcoil and something. We can counter a Karn. Snapcaster will speed up the clock a bit, exactly by 1 turn, I think, because we needed yeah, I think we'll definitely end up playing the snap if we can, because it reduces the clock by a turn. Because 4 and then 8 and then 12, and he's at 14. So if we add 2 to that equation, he's dead a turn sooner. So if he goes for the Worm Coil Engine, I actually think that I might Logic Knot it. Well, I guess I can't. I don't have enough stuff in the graveyard. I'd probably just 7. So this is not a Worm Coil Engine. It is. Okay. Oh, I guess he maybe wants to keep this for something. So we're going to Path and actually just also play Snapcaster Mage. He is making a green. Destroy target artifact or enchantment its controller gains 4 life. Yeah, I feel like that could be pretty problematic. He has 2 mana, so I can counter draw, or kind of want to save the Cryptic Command and just Logic Knot this. Have to eliminate my graveyard. There's nothing in there for Snapcaster Mage anyway. It means we get to save the Cryptic Command for next turn, which will be a guaranteed counter. So if I just do this, opponent can pay 2. This is... I'm pretty sure that I clicked that Nature's Claim, but I want to be doubly sure. Okay, so now we're going to try and do the same thing, which is to get the Snapcaster in play to end the game next turn. I guess I can't, though. I can't Logic Knot it. We're going to have to give our opponent another turn, unfortunately, because he can pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can Logic Knot for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we can do it for... We sacrifice the Scalding Tarn. Maybe we can. I didn't really add it up. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can pay, I think. Did I say 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's just a Cryptic Command. We'll counter draw, leaving up a red source in the event that we draw a Lightning Bolt. We didn't, but we do. We're basically going to win now unless he draws Ulamog, because now we have Snap Cryptic. Yes. All right, well, I think this game went fine, but it wasn't like a, an epic battle or anything. Basically, our opponent just mulliganed a lot, and which, kind of the last league when I played Jeskai Control, I was saying, I'm on the bad side of variance, but this happens, and that kind of thing. What I'm pointing out is it's easy to remember the bad beats, but it's also important to remember that this happens. It happens on the other side, right? You have sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky, and then sometimes your form of luck is that your opponent gets unlucky. All right, I hope that you guys enjoyed the league this week. I guess it would be a good time to talk about the deck. Let's pull it up here. I would have liked to have done better, but not bad. I'm actually on sort of a losing streak, I think, even in my own leagues. Not that I pay that much attention to it, but right now my constructed rating on Magic Online is 1648, and for me, that number is usually in the mid 1700s, and sometimes I'll be over 1800 for a little bit. So I'm not tracking my matches, but all I have to do is look at that number, and I know that I am losing right now a bit more than I usually do. So I don't know if that's just maybe I'm having a bad streak, because I had a good streak for a while. I don't remember all the decks I played, but I know I did pretty well with some of the Is It decks, and then I probably did okay with the Geist deck here and there, and I can't remember what else. But I felt like I was on a pretty good run for a while. And yeah, maybe I'm just on the backside of that slope. Anyway, okay, so the deck. I'm actually not sure that I would. I feel good about this configuration. It would be great to put a 4th Cryptic Command in the sideboard, but I don't know that we have the space. Molten Rain was okay. I think I used it to good effect maybe in one Valakut match, and then in the other one, I can't remember now. But I know one, I was like, well, let's put him down a land because we have this Molten Rain and we're trying to win the game, and he ended up just drawing the... Obviously, he later than he drew the... what am I trying to say here? He drew the Valakut. It was really for... I did have a game in the Friendly League where I did get to kill an Azcanta, and I did get to kill a couple of Colonnades with the Molten Rain, and it seemed okay there. I was casting him really late, though. The game was already sort of in a bad position for me in that we each had like 10 or 12 lands in play or something like that, and I think that the blue-white deck in the super late game probably is a bit better. So let's really talk numbers here. I probably don't need both settles. I think I just threw one in there because I was like, well, I know why I did. Is because, well, if this is going to be an Is It Staticaster, maybe it might just be better as a Settle the Wreckage. And then I was thinking that the second Settle gives us a little bit more game against something like Dredge. Not that that's a super big consideration. I mean, I don't really think that we need to build our deck to try to beat Dredge because it's a bad matchup. I saw some people comment on Graveyard Hate. If I was going to run some Graveyard Hate right now, I think I would run Relic. For a while, I was just running like a guaranteed 2 Surgical Extractions in the sideboard. I guess the reason I'm not running Graveyard Hate now is I don't think we need it to beat the top decks. It has some utility in some places, but we don't need it to beat Death Shadow. It can be not the only really Graveyard Hate that I like a lot against Lantern is Surgical Extraction. That way you can get rid of all of their copies of Ensnaring Bridge. They'll occasionally mill themselves and then put it into their graveyard and attempt to put it back on top of the Academy Ruins. So I like Surgical Extraction. Also, you might counter one bridge, and if you can counter or kill one bridge and then Surgical, that's good. I like Surgical okay enough against Dredge, because the thought there was when we run Is It Staticaster is you just need a Surgical Prized Amalgam, and then you can keep all their small 1 toughness creatures at bay with your Is It Staticaster. But again, that matchup's pretty bad. Just pulling this up really quick. So against Grixis Death Shadow, I don't think we need Graveyard Hate to beat them. Obviously, don't need Graveyard Hate. Don't need Graveyard Hate, but it can be useful. Makes their snaps worse, and obviously their Azcanta, which is more of a problem. Don't need it, don't need it, don't need it, don't need it. It'd be fine against Mardu Pyromancer. It'd be fine. There's a lot of decks it'd be fine against. I think if I was going to run a piece of Graveyard Hate, it would probably just be 1 or 2 Relic of Progenitus right now, because that's kind of like Relic is the good Graveyard Hate when you're kind of doing it for fair decks that can get not punished. That's not the right word I want to use, but it's the fair Graveyard Hate when you want to interact with the decks that are using their graveyard in a fair way, I guess is a good way to put it. I don't know what I would cut for it at the moment. The decks that I would really want it against would be, at least on this list, the fair decks. I mean, then obviously it has a little bit of utility in some other places. I could certainly trim these numbers. I wouldn't mind finding these multi-rains take up a lot of spots. I feel like I'm like had these 4 cards I would consider changing. I wouldn't mind a second Celestial Purge. I don't like running Supreme Verdict in my decks that rely on my own creatures. I know I see that in a lot of lists. It's just not my thing. I do think the 2 settles can be quite useful. Not this league. Maybe I would just run this again. I still need to come to a final assessment too on if I think that if Search for Azcanta is okay in the sideboard. The main reason I don't want it right now is I feel like I think some Jeskai lists are trying to put 1 Field of Ruin in their sideboard. I feel like there's if Tron is on the rise, then there's just more graveyard, or not graveyard, but land hate in general. I guess I just feel like the times that I've because I did run it through a friendly league and it got destroyed a lot, so it didn't feel very good. Like that's kind of why it doesn't feel good if you're like, this is my card to help me pull ahead in grinding matchups, and then in the grinding matchups everybody brings in land destruction, and then it's like, well, now it's not that great. So I wonder if I can make one of these Pias a Karanos. I like Karanos. I think he's okay now. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I want to change up the deck. I think I'm going to keep running this for the moment. Just see how I feel about it. It seemed fine. The Opt was useful a couple of times. I don't mind how 6 cantrips would be ideal. I don't think I want to go to 22 lands and 6 cantrips though. Anyway, yeah, I don't think the deck seemed fine. I liked right now I kind of like having the click over the 3rd Geist. The click is really good in the blue mirrors as well. And flyers are great. So, okay, yeah, that's going to do it for me for this week. Thank you for watching, everybody. Check back next week for another competitive Modern League. I don't think I'm going to get to part 2 and or 3 of the Jeskai Roundtable by Saturday, but if I come up with some free time between now and then, maybe. But I'll shoot for the week after. And yeah, that's going to do it. Talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.